Hello, and welcome back to Cozy with Chelsea, a podcast to nourish your mind, body, and soul. I am Chelsea, your host, and today I really wanted to talk about spring. I want to talk about transitioning into the spring season, the spring equinox, what self-care can look like in the spring, just a lot of spring stuff. So let's get into it. And we're going to be talking about some resets or some things that we can switch up as we move into this new season. So I figured we could also start this episode with a little tiny reset for yourself. So if you can just kind of examine your body and see where you're holding some tension, that might be in your shoulders. It might be that your jaw feels a little tense. If you want to, with me, just take one slow breath in and out. And let all those tense, clenched up parts of yourself sink down a little bit. Also, if you have something to drink, go ahead, take a sip of it with me. I am drinking a iced latte. I make it with cold brew, concentrate, almond milk, and a little bit of maple syrup, and a lot of ice. And it's very good. Okay, so I figured we can talk a little bit about spring and the science behind it and how the sun changes and the light changes. So the spring equinox actually is a moment of balance. So I've had a few different episodes now at this point on all of the different seasons. I had one for summer, for fall, for winter. Now we are in spring. And with spring, we have an equinox, and that is when there is balance. That is when light is equal to darkness. And that happens in the fall as well. And I just think it's kind of funny because I feel like a lot of us think of spring as the sun returning. There's a lot more sun. It is brighter later into the day. The sun is out longer. And so you're kind of thinking more sun is coming, which is true. More sun is coming than we had in winter, but we're actually coming back into balance. And then as we move into summer, that's a little bit out of balance. We have more light, more sun. Again, all of this changes on where you're located, but if you're in the northern hemisphere, then you're with me. And if you're not, then you're opposite of me or somewhere in between. But anybody in the northern hemisphere, we are entering spring, we are entering balance, and the sun is actually sitting a little bit higher. And I also think that's why we feel like the light looks different. I think it's called the golden angle, something like that, where the light is actually hitting things differently because of the sun's position. So if you're like in your house and things are looking a little bit brighter and there's sun climbing up your walls again, that is why. And I think hopefully a lot of people start to just feel a little bit better in spring. I know that happened to me this year. Actually, just last weekend, I texted my brother to see if he wanted to go get brunch and do some shopping. And I just realized, wow, it's been a minute since I've made just like plans for fun. And then I was kind of examining why has it been so long that I've wanted to go do something besides sit in my house and eat soup. And I realized it's just because the sun is back and the weather is better. And it makes me think, wow, I want to go outside. So I'm hoping that you guys are experiencing that right now too, and getting out there and having a little bit of fun. But in addition to getting out there and having a little bit of fun, it's also a moment where I think we just start to kind of relax a little bit. The winter blues are fading away. We're getting the sunlight. We're getting the vitamin D. We're thawing out a little bit. And ideally, hopefully, obviously a lot of things go into nervous system regulation, but I think all of that is helpful for your nervous system, for your mental state, for your physical state, everything. So this is a great time to really capitalize on the weather, the sunlight, and see what we can incorporate into our daily lives to build on top of that, take advantage of it, get a little spring cleaning in, have some self-care rituals we can put in place, and we'll get into all of that right now. So I think something here to really touch on is the point of balance. So as I talked about, we have balance here with the daylight and the darkness. And if we can also think about that in terms of our lives and in terms of our self-care. So just a question you could ask yourself is, where do I need a little bit more balance right now? Is it in my schedule? Is it in the way that I talk to myself? Is it just in my home, the way that it's decorated, the way that it feels? Is it in my relationships with others? If we can kind of think, where do we need a little bit more balance? Where are we out of balance? And then we can examine those areas and see what we either want to add or subtract from them. And then I have just a few practical rituals that you could incorporate right now as we're entering the spring season. And one of them, which is so relevant to me and probably to a lot of you out there, is planting a seed. And I mean this literally and metaphorically. And I've been doing a lot of gardening. I've been so excited. I planted roses and lantanas in the front yard. My plants are coming back to life after the winter. My lavender is doing great. It's been really great, like getting my hands in the dirt, in the soil, and planting stuff and having things bloom. I have these bushes in my front yard, and I didn't even know because I just moved into this house less than a year ago. I haven't had a spring here yet. They bloom purple flowers, and I had no idea. But anyways, back to the ritual. So I thought what might be great here is if you're gardening, perfect. You could do this right away. If you're not a gardener or you don't have a green thumb, that's okay. You can still try this out. But I was thinking if you could just take a seed and plant it into the soil, and it doesn't have to literally be a seed. It could also be a baby plant or a plant that you're repotting, whatever it is, right? Anything that's going to grow is the idea here. So we're going to take that seed, plant, and as you're planting it, I want you to name one thing that you want to grow in your life. So that could be you want to develop more patience. You want to bring in more wealth. You want to have some great friendships show up for you or build on your existing friendships. You want some more fun. Whatever it is that you want a little bit more of in your life, if you can think of that as you're planting it, and then it's just kind of a placeholder for that intention, right? So that seed, that plant, as it grows, so does your wish, right? This is like the gardening version of throwing a penny into a fountain. So I thought that would just be kind of something fun that you can incorporate since we're planting stuff and it's springtime. And then as it grows, maybe you can reflect back on whatever that thing is you asked for. If it's friendships, think, okay, how have I grown stronger in my friendships? Another thing here for spring, obviously spring cleaning is a huge thing. And I just did this myself as well. I went through and decluttered and reorganized and redecorated for the new season. But something specific here is your doorway. And your doorway is so important. I am certainly not a feng shui master. I do know one. And she always talks about the front door because this is your entryway. This is where people walk through. This is how people enter into your home. It used to be how you enter into your home until we got garages, but it's important. It's an important piece of the house. And what she always talks about is sweeping the front door. And before I met her, I never did this. And so now whenever I'm feeling like the energy is a little bit stagnant or I want to just spruce it up a little bit, and this applies to any kind of front door, guys, whether you have a house, apartment, anything, right? As long as you have a door and you have concrete or something in front of it, you can do this. So I just pick everything up that's there that I'm able to pick up, not the huge potted plants, but my doormat I'll pick up, and then I just sweep it all out, and you just keep sweeping, and it's just getting rid of that stagnant energy. You will also be surprised how much there is outside your front door. A lot gathers there. And then while you're doing this, if you want to, you can also add an intention to it by stating only what supports me and only what serves me gets to enter here. So it could be something like that. It could be exactly that, but something that resonates with you, because this season, this spring, only what supports us is entering. All right. And then another ritual that you could incorporate would be a sun salutation walk. I love walking. Not everybody is into walking, but well, I am. And a lot of people I know are. So I think what we can incorporate here is because we have more sun, you might be more enticed to get out there and go for a walk. But if we could just do like a 10-minute sun salutation walk where there's no phone scrolling, no podcast, no noise, like literally just you walking in the sun. And then if we can become very aware, if you can notice the warmth of the sun on your cheeks, notice the air, how does it feel? How does it smell? Notice everything growing around you, coming back to life. This is just kind of, you know what this actually is like a regulation disguised as a cute walk, but that's what it always is. So if you could incorporate, I don't know, a few times a week, going out there in the morning, 10 minutes in the sun, noticing what's around you, it's also a little bit of a meditation. So those are just a few ideas. I am also curious if any of you guys have any spring rituals that you do each year. I would love to hear about it. So if you want to just comment and let me know what you guys are doing this spring. I also really wanted to talk about the home. For me, the seasons are so fun because I get to kind of adjust the decor, adjust the fabrics I'm using, switch out my clothes. That's kind of a side note, but it's exciting. I get excited to wear a tank top. But I think if you could go through your home and just kind of do like an audit of what it looks like, what decor you have out, is it set up for a successful spring for you? And a big piece of this is fabrics, because in the winter, I have a heavy down blanket to keep me warm. And as we move into spring, you can switch this out with a fabric that has a little airiness to it, that feels more like it can breathe. That heavy winter down comforter is gonna just sweat you out. So if you could just like take an audit of your house, you know, what blankets could we switch out? Can we move to a lighter throw? Can we move the sweaters to the back of the closet and bring forward the tank tops and the t-shirts? Just kind of take a look around and see how you can adjust your home to set you up for a nice, airy, fresh environment. And then as you're putting the winter stuff away, you could also thank it. You know, thank you for keeping me warm, and be grateful for how it served you. And then we're bringing in the spring. And since we're on sensory things like fabrics, I also thought we could just touch on scents for a second. I always find that in the winter, I'm using like a heavier perfume or candles or essential oils, things like that. And then as I move into spring, I'm bringing out the light floral scents. So if you could maybe just think about what scents you have, that might be something fun to do. This whole episode is not necessarily about going out and buying new decor, but you know, to each their own. So if you want to get out there and get like a fresh spring scent, I think that's really fun. Or if you want to start incorporating different essential oils, if you diffuse them, if you use them. Some of my favorites in the spring would be like lemon is really great, like any citrus, lemon, orange. I do love lavender year round, but it feels like a spring scent. So maybe just, you know, have an idea of what kind of scents you want to have this spring. And then for spring cleaning. So I do like spring cleaning, but I am never the girl, well, I shouldn't say never, but I'm usually not the girl who's going in and redoing the entire house at once. I do know some people who are capable of doing that, and that is amazing. For me, if I try to take over the whole house at one time, it turns into overwhelm, and then I need to go lay down. So if you love doing everything at once, that is amazing. You inspire me. If perhaps you're a little bit more like me and you might get overwhelmed, then what I would suggest is something that I do. It's the one drawer philosophy. So the idea is, instead of the whole kitchen, you're picking one drawer. Now, this doesn't have to apply to just drawers, of course, but for example, my nightstand, it just gets cluttered. It just always gets cluttered. I don't know what it is. I end up having 5 different water cups that I've brought up over the week, and I have my earbuds and all the 5, 7 different books I'm reading at one time. And so what I'll do is just pick the nightstand, start there, get rid of what I don't need anymore, take the water cups downstairs, pick 2 or 3 books instead of 7, and put some flowers on there, make it pretty. So the idea here is picking one part of your house to declutter, organize, decorate so that it brings you a little bit more joy. And you could even set, a timer when you're doing this. You could do 10 minutes. That's it. Sometimes what will end up happening is I end up doing more than just the one nightstand. But the idea is this makes it a lot more approachable and achievable. And then you can just continue to do this throughout the week. This is actually what builds consistency. So pick one drawer, one nightstand, your a closet is even overwhelming, a portion of your closet, and spring clean it. Also, if you could just do some spring cleaning with the windows open, if the weather is nice enough for you to do that, come on, it's just the best. You have the windows open, fresh air coming in, put on like a spring playlist on Spotify, clean up your nightstand. You have your lemon and lavender essential oils running while you're doing it. Doesn't that sound incredible? I'm going to do that right after I record this. And then a piece here too I want to talk about with spring cleaning is that this can also apply to your digital life, your social media, things like that. So as we're entering spring, I actually have a friend right now, and we've been talking about this because I have a whole love-hate relationship with social media. I actually got rid of it for many years, and then obviously for this podcast and things that I want to promote, I got back into it. And I don't like it. I like certain aspects of it when I can connect with people that I really love their content, or I kind of like build a community. I love that piece of it. I don't like that it feeds me random stuff. I don't want to see a lot of the negative content that just gets pushed to you. So maybe we can spring clean our phones and our laptops. And what I was doing it this morning. I was on TikTok and I was just seeing, I'm actually trying to be more like consciously aware of the media that I'm consuming. And so what I'll do, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but if I go on a social media app, by default, I will find myself just being sucked into and like becoming a part of it almost. And so a practice I've been doing is kind of stepping away and almost observing myself watching it, if that makes sense. And so that's what I was doing this morning is I'm like, okay, what kind of content am I getting? And if something negative would pop up, I would click on it and click not interested. And I think Instagram has certain settings now where you can have it adjust your algorithm for you. So I think this is really important because if you're on social media, which most of us are, if we can do what we can to control what we're receiving, I think we should. And so if you can just go into your apps, see what settings you can enable to get rid of the media that you don't want to see, or maybe delete it entirely. I would love to do that myself. But yeah, just do a little spring cleaning. If you're seeing something that doesn't make you feel good, just mute it. Just mute it and get rid of it. You could also, something fun, not everything with the phone has to be so serious, but with your phone, you could switch up your background. You could have like a spring background. You could have a spring background on your laptop. There's a lot of fun things you could do. Okay, well, I feel like that was a lot of spring ideas. So hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming, but just pick a few that resonated with you. And like I said, if you guys have anything that you do for spring, please comment. I would love to hear what your spring rituals are. And before I end today's episode, I did want to just mention the sponsor, which is Moon Brew. It is a hot cocoa powder that I use all the time, and it's meant to help you sleep. So if you are like a sensitive person and you have trouble sleeping sometimes, or you can even feel when you're about to not have a great night's sleep, you can make this hot cocoa. I just steam almond milk, whisk it in, and then that's it. That's actually the end of the sentence. So anyways, if you want to try Moon Brew, I'll link the website in the show notes, and then you can use my code, which is Cozy with Chelsea, and you will get 15% off. Okay, well, before I end today's episode, I do always talk about what's making me cozy. And you know what? I think I'm going to choose the Ninja Creamy, which this podcast is not sponsored by. But I got a creamy for Christmas and I've been using it a lot. I made like a bone broth protein ice cream with it. And then I also realized I could make an acai bowl myself. Also, tip here, don't put just frozen fruit in a creamy. Not supposed to do that. I figured that out this morning. But you can blend it first and then put it in the creamy and then do it. So that was a lesson I learned today. It doesn't like frozen fruit that hasn't been blended. But I've been making a lot with it and it's just been really fun. And with my stepson, I've been making ice cream and we just put whatever we want into it. So it's a nice little family activity and I've really been enjoying it. And I'm going to make some sorbet. I'll make some spring fruit sorbet with it. All right. Well, that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you are getting your homes, yourselves ready for the spring season. And I think it's going to be a good one. All right. Stay cozy, everyone. Talk to you next week. Bye.